I can go ahead and do that.
Yeah, why don't when she logs in, why don't you send her a direct message and ask her if she wants to do it?
Okay.
You want to do it? Because she's now we all three of us have the right slide decks.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. That sounds good.
Okay, cool.
Morning, Tony.
Good morning. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm okay.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. Is it Arish? Arish?
It is Arish. It is pronounced as Arash, which is way off. So feel free to pronounce it however you would like.
Arash is how it's pronounced.
Yes, Arash.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, great. How have you come to join this meeting this morning, Arash?
Well, I'm part of the JVS team, and we have
Oh,
just about.
yes, we met
Yep,
on email, but I haven't gotten a chance to
that's
follow
correct.
up. Great. It
Yep,
is
yep, yep.
fantastic to see your face and put a face with the name. And
Thank
I
you.
think did Leah follow up with you
Yes,
or
she did.
Leslie? Great,
Yes, yes,
great.
yes.
And Arash, you'll have an opportunity to introduce yourself. We always do a new attendees thing. So at the beginning, we'll be making a coffee. Just introduce yourself when we get to that point near the beginning. That'd be great.
No worries. Sounds great.
Thank you.
Speaking of introductions, Tony, before we get too crowded, I'll be sending an email intro to somebody I think you already know. Do you know Miles Sandler at Kauffman Foundation?
I don't know Miles. I don't think. Maybe I've met. I might
Okay,
have met him.
she's I had mentioned to her she supported the policy work that we were doing with both states and a lot of the on the ground work with the state broadband offices. And I, kind of mentioned your, interest in the comment process
Yeah.
and and sort of your solitary interest among the local community.
Oh,
And
there's
she was
some
like, "Oh, that'd
others.
be great. I
There's
would
some
love to
others too. Yeah. No. So
be in touch with him." So, and she was familiar with you and your work, and so I'll shoot
okay.
you an email
Okay. Yeah.
intro.
I've been talking to Donnell Hammond and yeah. So yeah. But yeah. So I'll get with it. We'll do that. Very good. Thanks. Let's see here. Still before 10, we'll give people plenty of time to log in here.
Tony, can you check to see if you have sharing privileges?
Sure. I can do that. Let's see.
I guess you can't when
It
somebody else
says it will.
is sharing.
It says this will stop other screen sharing. I think, did Wendy put up the slides?
Yeah, everybody should have screen sharing.
Okay,
Yeah,
but if
should
Wendy
be
will just
good.
advance them, that'll work fine. Is that okay
That
with
looks
you,
good.
Wendy? Wendy, you okay advancing the slides as we go?
Is that okay?
It's okay with me. Yeah.
Okay. Yep, I can do it.
Okay, great. Good morning, everyone. I'm Tony Luppino with UMKC, a longstanding member of the coalition. I'll be helping out with facilitation today. Why don't we give folks maybe a couple more minutes to log in before we get going? Then we'll get started.
Good morning, everyone. It's always such a quiet bunch. Who's got the music?
Play the new Beatles song. No, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I just happened to listen to it this morning myself.
Is it good? What's it like? Isn't it like a AI?
Yeah, no, I thought it was pretty
Yeah.
good. It's they mixed in some background vocals from other songs from like Abbey Road and stuff. It was very good. So
Is it on YouTube? I don't see it on YouTube.
no, it was on Spotify, so don't violate any rules here. It's
Yeah, everyone can Venmo me a payment.
GoFundMe.
Okay. Wendy, I've got the slides up. I can run them. Are you seeing them?
Okay, great. I was just texting Leslie. My computer screen blacked out. I didn't want to mess things up.
Okay. Are they up now?
I was trying to pass it off to
Oh,
Leslie, but if you have him, that's
Rick,
great.
Rick, are the slides up there now?
Yeah.
I see him. It looks good.
All right, I'm all over it. Okay. All right. Well, let's get going. Maybe others will join in. Looks like we have a pretty good group. I guess not as many people flew to Germany to watch the Chiefs as I feared, so we're in good shape to get started here. So I'm Tony Luppino with UMKC, and I'm just helping with facilitation today. Just to know, you've seen a lot of you have seen the agenda. Just an overview. We'll start in a minute with our customary invitation for anybody who's not been in these meetings before to introduce themselves. And I know we have at least one new attendee, and maybe there are more. Then we're going to have a spotlight on a particular organization, Yoodle, and so we'll have two, I think, folks from there talking about what they do. Then we're again honored to have leaders of or representatives of both offices of broadband development in Missouri and Kansas. So I'll introduce them briefly, and they're going to have a session where they're really looking for your feedback and ready to answer questions, and they'll give you an update on some of their recent developments. We'll then have the usual, everybody can make announcements about things that are going on in the community, things that they're doing that are digital inclusion, digital equity initiatives. And then will be just a wrap up of a reminder of the next meeting. So this, to start off, if there's anybody here who's in their first meeting here of the Kansas City Coalition for Digital Inclusion who might please introduce themselves.
Well, I can go first. My name is Arash. This is my first time joining your meeting. I work at JVS, an organization that resettles refugees beginning from the airport all the way till 5 years. We provide support for our clients. Well, one program that was missing in JVS was digital literacy, obviously, and we realized the benefit of it, and we decided to launch this program. We in the learning phase, so I'm so glad that I get to join you guys and learn as much as possible.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank
Brenna?
you.
You're muted. See your hand up.
Were you talking to me? I'm sorry.
No, there was Brenna,
Okay.
I think, had a hand up, and I thought maybe she was going to introduce herself. Is that, or had a question? Or Brenna, are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me?
It's it sounds very low.
Can you hear me better?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, my name is Brenna, and I am listening from the Office of KC Digital Drive. I'm a member of the AmeriCorps.
Great. It's again wonderful. We've had a lot of the coalition has had a lot of support from folks in the AmeriCorps program. So glad you're joining us. Glad you're with KC Digital Drive. Anybody else who's a new attendee?
Hello. Sorry, I'm just gonna keep talking. I'm Sarah. I am an ACC member through AmeriCorps, serving at Kansas City. And I'm very excited to learn a lot from this webinar. So thank you.
Great. Very good. Anybody else?
I'll go ahead and introduce myself. My name's Tommy Watson. Technically, this isn't my first time at one of these meetings. I participated in one several years ago when I was a student at UMKC's law school.
Hey.
So I never actually stopped receiving any of the emails on the coalition. And so I finally decided to kind of jump back in and just, I was hoping to just kind of observe the meeting today because I'm a practicing attorney now. And so I just wanted to see if there was anything what you guys have been working on that I could help out with or apply any of my skills to. So that's why I'm here today.
Excellent. Thanks, Tommy. Glad to have an alum of our law school where I teach here. So very good. Great. Any other folks who'd like to introduce themselves who haven't been in the meetings before? Okay.
I think I might call out a couple names, and apologies if I've missed you and you've been here before, but Dennis Hallam and Starla Jones, I think are both relative newcomers.
Yeah, Dennis is going to be part of the spotlight in a minute, but go ahead, Dennis.
Great.
Yeah. Sorry, I was trying to get technical difficulties taken care of. I'm Dennis Hallam. I'm the program director for Yoodle Education Services. And I am replacing Tim McCoy, who's the CAO of Yoodle, on today's meeting. So I'm just trying to get my bearings, but I'm glad to be here.
And who was thank you, Dennis, and we'll hear from you shortly. Aaron, who was the other person you were mentioning?
It was Starla Jones, who, oh, yep, looks like just unmuted.
Yep. Hello there. My name's Starla Jones, and I'm the IT director for Douglas County in Lawrence. So
very good. Thank you, Starla. Welcome.
thank you.
All right. Well, that does take us into our segue to Yoodle. So, Dennis, is Jenny with you as well? Or are you handling, or both? You can both do this? Or?
Sorry, I'm not sure if Jenny's here or not. I think
Okay.
Nate might be joining me, but he's not on yet.
Okay. You can just introduce any of your teammates, but go ahead, Dennis. Go ahead. Please proceed.
Yeah, sure. Do I share my screen?
Yeah, I can stop sharing so that you can do that. You should have screen sharing privileges, I'm told.
Okay, let me open this thing real quick. There we go. All right, it's loading. There we go.
Yeah, it's starting to come up. I'll let you know when it's up.
Okay.
It's just a black screen right now on my screen, Dennis.
Okay. Yeah, it's showing it to me.
It looked like it was starting to load.
Okay, let me see.
Let me know if you're having trouble. I can check the settings, but it should be set.
Yeah, I can. It's not. Like it's showing it to me, but I don't know why it's.
I'll tell you
It
why
says
it's not working. It's because this is a digital inclusion meeting. And so bandwidth and technical troubles inevitable.
Right. Yeah, it says it's sharing. I don't know what's happening here.
You want to try just starting over with it and sharing it again and see if it just clicks?
Yeah.
No, there it is.
We got it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, you're off and running, Dennis. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay, so yes is Yoodle Education Services. Like I said before, I'm the program director, and I teach the digital marketing course. So it says Yoodle is a technical solutions and brand development agency in Kansas City. We work with mostly colleges and nonprofits. We do a lot of website building and brand development for that. In 2020, we created Yoodle Education Services, which is a workforce development and skill up program for unemployed and underemployed adults, teaching them the fundamentals of website development and digital marketing and analytics. So essentially, the idea is to get people who are unhappy or underemployed, unhappy with their careers or underemployed, help to learn these new skills quickly and to immediately get them working on client work and skilling up to move forward in their careers. It's available to all Kansas City area adult graduates, Kansas and Missouri. Most of the tuition is funded either by the Full Employment Council in KCMO or in Kansas Work in Kansas. So the idea is to have the program be completely tuition free for the students, so that they can, move on to these new jobs. We have a web development and fundamentals course where you learn the basics of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and WordPress. There's an 8-week in-person intensive where the students are actually at the office 40 hours a week. And they do both classroom working and labs, and then also client work. And then there's a 16-week virtual version. The same goes for our digital marketing analytics course, which I teach, where you learn the fundamentals of digital marketing, content creation, and then Google Analytics and SEO. All the students receive free laptops that they get to keep after the course books, and then access to UMKC facilities for the, I believe it's the entire year of the weeks where they take the course. So yeah, we joined the coalition to be part of the solution. We want to stay up to date on funding and policy, stay connected to others doing digital inclusion work, meet potential partners, and essentially just see what everybody's doing. We're always looking for new ways to get students in. What we found in teaching the course is that basic computer skills and digital literacy is a huge marker as to whether you'll be able to be successful and whether you can learn these things quickly. The students that have had some technology courses or some access to computers ahead of time are much more able to quickly learn, which makes it easier for us to get them skilled up and moved on to new careers. For some reason my screen broke down again, but there's only one slide left, so let me just take a look at it and I'll take this out. So how can coalition members help? Promoting program or referrals, options, new grants and funding partners to aid our students. We're always looking for partnerships to both get students into the course and then also to cover that tuition so that they're not having to deal with that themselves. And then we do provide internships and apprenticeships at the back end of the course. So partnerships for that is crucial as well.
Excellent. Does anybody have questions for Dennis? Sounds like a great program. Glad to see that you're working with our university here too. It's great. So,
Dennis, hi, I'm Tom Esselman. I'm on the steering council with the coalition, and I'm curious about your reference to the FEC providing a lot of the tuition funding. Is there any more detail you can provide on that? Is it part of some of their Department of Commerce grant funding? I mean, what's the nature of the funding partnership with the FEC?
Yeah, so we a lot of times we use the WIOA grant. Essentially, our prospective students, we send if they're on Missouri side, we send to the FEC, and then they go through the approval process, which can be kind of hairy, but we have gotten tuition for 90% of the people in all of our cohorts from the FEC. The 8-week course, the pilot program of the 8-week course was not only fully funded by the FEC, but they also paid for 4 of the 8 hours as internships. So they had paid internships while they were doing the internship portion of the course for half of it, which was really helpful. That program, I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work going forward. But yeah, the FEC has funded most of our students. And then our relationship with Kansas Works is similar, but newer. So yeah, we send prospective students through their portal to try to get funding. They go through the application process, and then they send us the students that make it out the other end.
Dennis, this is Leslie Scott, and that I worked at the FEC. I'm assuming that you all went through the process to get your curriculum all approved for WIOA funding. So that was the first step in order for you all to be able to work with them, correct?
Yes, and we're a partnership with UMKC and then FEC and Kansas Works. So I think UMKC helped us get the curriculum approved. But yeah, it's all approved.
Other questions or comments for Dennis? Thanks for doing that on behalf of Yoodle, Dennis. Very good. Thank you.
For sure.
Thanks for pinch hitting on short notice. I know it's a very
yeah. Well,
great. All right, I'm gonna just pull up the agenda again for a second to segue into the next. Tell me if it comes up on the screen. Yeah, I'll be having trouble here. Let's see. Is it there? No.
I don't see it yet.
Okay, well, try that again. Maybe
looks good now. Yep.
Maybe now. Okay. All right. Well, we're delighted to have with us again representatives of the offices of broadband development on both sides of the state line out here in the Kansas City region. So we have Kimberlyn Jones, who's Digital Equity Program Manager with the Kansas Office of Broadband Development, and D'mitri Farthing, who's the Digital and Economic Opportunity Specialist with the Missouri Office of Broadband Development. D'mitri goes by JR. And there's been a lot going on in recent weeks. There are some open comment periods on new postings. And so we were going to ask each of them to maybe say a little bit about recent developments that they might want to call to our attention. And my understanding is they're both interested in hearing questions and feedback. So Kimberlyn, would you like to start off? And if you want to screen share, I'll be happy to unscreen share. Just let me know if you have some slides.
You got it all right there. I
Okay.
don't have to say anything.
Good. Well, that's
You got it all laid out right there.
Well, I'll take no credit for that. I think Leslie or somebody else wrote it and did a very nice job. But very
yeah, I'm just here to back that up. Really, as it says right here, the BEAD plan, our volume 1 was approved. So we got approval on the BEAD plan. And volume 2 is out there for public comment. It is open until November the 12th. And then our DE plan was launched October 2nd. We had public comment open for 30 days, and that closed yesterday. And to everyone's surprise, we only received 8 comments on the plan. So we had Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads, and we had a board of 20 some odd people that we asked to reach out to 10 other people. So surprisingly, we got 8 comments. So we actually got 10, but a couple of them were testers. So, someone says, no, we got 10. That was the official number that came through submittable. But 2 of them were testers, actually. And so now we are currently strategizing outreach, doing some outreach strategies and looking for strategies of implementation. We're going to take the public comments and, of course, review them and apply, what's applicable and tweak the plan. We're still asking for feedback on the plan because we want to make sure that it's all inclusive of anyone that's engaged or involved or has an interest. We take all feedback very seriously and generously. So we will be doing that and getting ready for the final submission of the plan. But like I said, in the meantime, we had a house full of consultants here today. And we are doing strategy meetings for implementation and outreach. We will probably be doing some transitioning of board members because now we need something different. We were putting our plans together. Now we have to implement it, do a lot of outreach, things like that. So we are, and then there's some people who come along during our road shows and things like that have shown an interest in wanting to be part of the board. So we're considering those kind of things. The digital connectivity technology program, which they call the DCT, we are formulating our guidelines. They are at Treasury right now for review. So that was the $15.5 million that we got for DCT. So those guidelines are being reviewed right now. And DEC is right behind it. And we're looking to launch those 2 programs within the next 30 to 60 days. And then we are excited to, we've all, well, not we've all, but two of our staff members have signed up for the Missouri Summit. So we're excited to come to Jeff City to join you guys in the summit next week. So that's just a little bit of what's going on in Kansas. Just a little bit.
It's a little bit about a lot. That was a lot of, and some forthcoming new developments of new programs. That sounds great. Questions for Kimberlyn, excuse me, on the Kansas side of things?
Yeah, this is Leslie. So I know Kimberly's like, well, of course you have a question.
Of course. It wouldn't be a presentation.
It wouldn't be a meeting with me without a question. But I was wondering, you know, in the year plus now that you've been at the KOBD, you went from, you know, being a newbie to now being what do you call it? A wonk, basically, like an expert. So you know, you threw out a lot of acronyms and a lot of programs, and y'all are doing so many things. But I was wondering if you could maybe provide sort of the you know, introductory information about some of these programs, especially like the difference between the DEA plan, the Volume 1 plan, the Volume 2 plan, and then I'm particularly interested in hearing more about DEC.
The DEC we have not addressed yet. It's coming behind us, but the DEC will be more about digital skills training. That's going to be heavily focused on skills training. We haven't begun the guidelines on that. We have consultants working on that, but it's coming soon. The DCT, which is the Digital Connectivity Program, technology program, and we will call it something else. I don't know what it is. We're in the world of acronyms, but that's it's two components to that, and one is device distribution. So we are constructing guidelines for the grants for device distribution. And the other one is Wi-Fi and MDUs, a focus on, multi-dwelling units are the MDUs, but the multi-dwelling units and Wi-Fi. So we want to make sure that these eligible and CAIs, which is referred to as community anchored institutions. So our program is focused, our DCT program is focused on device distributions and Wi-Fi in the community anchored institutions and the multi-dwelling units. The DEC will be more focused on digital skills training. The DE plan is our overall plan, which will be focusing on still ACP. We're pushing the ACP because Kansas is one of the states with the lowest participation. I think we're at about 28% right now of the 425,000 eligible households in the state. So we have some work to do there. So we will continue to do that as long as the ACP funding is available, and also speaking with resources and agencies and organizations on how we're going to sustain after that, how we're going to create and what happens after ACP. How do people continue to afford the internet? Because it won't last forever and people will still need it even more so. So we're looking at ways on how to continue affordability. We're looking for continued resources, and we thank you, Tom, for all your help, because everywhere I go, it's your name. So we're looking for resources for device distribution, who's refurbishing them, and I think there's something like that going on in the NTIA, the NDIA meeting. There's a tour for that. And then digital skills training. So that is what the DE plan will be focusing on. Leslie, thank you.
Thanks.
Sorry, and then BEAD Volume 1 and Volume 2, can you just distinguish between those two and help us understand why we should actually be looking to give comments on Volume 2?
Volume BEAD is not my wheelhouse. I know it's infrastructure, and they're trying to build out, and also we're what are they doing? The community ready broadband ready community, BRC. Yes, we're building, trying to focus on those two, because we need build out. We need, I can't say we need fiber. We do need fiber, but fiber is not always the answer. So I know that the infrastructure are working for different alternatives for build out, different alternatives to get the broadband access everywhere in the state, so that I can do my job in getting people access and afford. It is not my wheelhouse. I'm sorry, we have 9 people on the team, and I get the surface information, but we got the engineers and the GISs that dig down into that. So I can provide further comment on responding to Volume 2. I do have 10 reasons why you should respond to public comment for DE, but we're done now. The comment period is over, but I'll be happy to share that, put that in the chat. I'll just share that just to let you know that there are reasons to respond to comment, public comment. And I know that didn't give you all the information about BEAD. My expertise is digital equity.
Thanks, Kimberlyn. Kenneth, I see you had a question. I see your hand up. Yeah,
I'm sorry, I was unmuted. Good morning, everyone. Hello, Kimberlyn.
Good morning.
Hey, just a quick question. I read through and Terry read through your digital equity plan. Good plan. We just had a few questions. Is there any plans to actually have digital equity pilots? Because what we read through there were some really, really good content, but some of the things that we read, we're just going to suggest that you actually test those for impact and effectiveness. Okay, because right now we just finished the state of Missouri digital demonstration project, and we did one for Kaufman, and we just wanted to kind of provide some insight that some of the things that we saw in your plan were good, but we're going to highly recommend that you all, do some sort of piloting to measure, right, the effectiveness of this, because you can burn through a lot of money real fast. We've been through it, right? So we're just suggesting that you pilot. So the question is, do you have any plans to do any digital equity pilots?
That's a good comment. My first question is, did you respond in our public comment and give us those suggestions?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. I didn't see it as of last night. We only had 10, and I didn't see it, but I will take a look at it again. As you know, the state of Kansas has various communities, and we have rural, we have very unique communities. So that is a great suggestion. I do appreciate it. We have some ideas on testing impact, because that's what we need to do. We need to come up with results and outcomes. So that's part of some of the strategies that we're working through as of today with our consultants, is how do we actually measure results and outcomes of the objectives and measurables that we have out there to work our digital equity efforts. So I do appreciate you going through our plan and providing that feedback. Thank you.
No problem. And let me know if you don't get that, because I'm a software developer, so I copied everything that Terry submitted. Terry submitted it. It's not in my name. She actually submitted it. So if you don't have it, let me know, and I can send it to you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions for Kimberlyn?
I have a comment, Tony. Kimberlyn, I appreciate the enthusiasm you're bringing to this task. There is there's definitely a history of throughout the state of Kansas of not responding to, these broadband related issues. I recently saw a report from the last time the federal government put a big amount of federal dollars into this, the BTOP program from the Obama administration. And I was reading the scorecard at the end of that funding program for funding requests. I think for the state of Missouri, they exceeded like $75 million. And in the state of Kansas, I think they totaled $900,000. So they didn't even reach $1 million just in requests from the state of Kansas. So I appreciate you've got challenges in, generating awareness and generating interest. And so the extent to which I think this plan looks like it's covering a good breadth and variety of different, not just, like you said, broadband infrastructure may not be your bailiwick, but I think by focusing more on digital literacy and just the breadth of what the Digital Equity Act is all about, I'm hopeful that will generate broader awareness throughout the state of Kansas and more interest in getting involvement. We've heard from a few library systems in some of the rural areas in Kansas, and if we can partner with them so that when we're distributing computers, they can also provide, digital literacy training and get more community volunteers involved. And we're trying to tie it into, banks and financial institutions and generate more collaboration. But it is really a challenge. And we have experienced that throughout some of the areas that we've been trying to work on in Kansas. So I might throw a few comments in just to encourage the work that you're doing and see if there's other things we can do to help generate more awareness and interest throughout the state.
Right. One of as I mentioned earlier, our state is very unique, as you know, and, we have urban areas, we have rural areas, and we have very, very remote areas. And so the fun part about our job is we have to construct things that work for that particular community, the uniqueness of that particular community. Adoption is a big deal for the state of Kansas. I have talked to commissioners that says, I have a phone, I don't need any of this. So, when you have commissioners saying that, there's a lot of work to do. So I do appreciate your comment and your effort to work with us, because there may be some programs to pilot and test, but it doesn't work for the whole. We want to blanket the whole entire state of Kansas, and we're not leaving anyone out. And everyone has an important part of this, but everyone also has a different level of engagement and adoption. And so, you got to adopt it first to work with it. So, before we get to, okay, now I'll pay for it. Oh, by the way, I need some equipment to use it. Oh, I need to go through these skill sets. So we have our work cut out for us. I am excited about it. And so we appreciate people like yourself giving us feedback, Mr. Yancey giving us feedback. And we know we have a very unique state, so we have to apply what's appropriate for that particular community. So thank you everyone for your support.
Any final questions for Kimberlyn at this point before we move on to the Missouri side of the state line?
Can I ask one more question? Just one more.
Sure.
Yeah. Excuse me. This ACP outreach. Excuse me. I'm suffering with some sinuses here. ACP outreach, marketing outreach. So for the state of Missouri, our partnership with the city of Kansas City, still today, 87% of our clients never heard of the ACP, and we're signing them up. It's huge. So your number is worse, right? So my question is, does the
Well, I
state?
wouldn't say worse. It's just different.
Well, it's harder to reach. Well, that's the wrong word. Let's say it like this. Okay, your density from a digital marketing perspective is greater, right? It's not, and it's harder to reach them. So my question is, does the Kansas Broadband have plans, have grants to actually do more ACP outreach? Because that's what we're suggesting to the city of Kansas City and the state of Missouri, that the ACP outreach has to have more incentives to get your adoption rate, right? Because the $30 a month, that is not the greatest incentive. And that's what I'm hearing the most of. But our clients are saying, $30. Now I need, what else do you have? Right. So anyway, so I just want to know, do you guys have any plans to do any more outreach for ACP?
At this point, no. And you're right. A lot of people don't know about it. So we need to get the information out there. And again, we are the boots on the ground. To get around the organizations. We continue to ask people, let us know what organizations, associations, what groups are working with the covered population. We're trying to get to the covered population.
Yeah.
So, and then we have librarians. We're working closely with the Library Association to, because they touch people. The librarians, we're trying to get engaged with them for more outreach, and also our Department of Children and Family Services. So, that's what our advisory boards are for, to help us reach out to organizations that interact with the covered populations that we're trying to reach. Incentives, we got a lot of programs on the table, and that's something to consider for sure.
Excellent. Thank you, Kimberlyn. I think a lot of us for a long time have felt that libraries are going to be the key to success in all of this. And it's great that you're going through child and family services too. Very good. Excellent. So, JR, you ready? You there?
I'm here and ready to share if you all
okay. Yeah, do you want to share some screens, some slides, or
I do. I have two brief things I'd like to share with the group.
All right. Yeah,
so
sure.
One, I have to say those were some tough questions, and if they'd been posed to me, I myself would not have been able to answer it. So props to Kimberlyn. During that time, I am also focused primarily on digital equity stuff, but hearing that question to Kimberlyn, I was able to get online and look up an answer to that one, so I can show you all. Like I said, I'm certainly not an expert, but I wanted to share with you all the difference between the initial proposal, volume 1 and 2 for BEAD. So here's that. I think, can people see that?
Yes.
So there you go. That first category outlines what needs to be in volume 1. The second one is what needs to be in volume 2. That's all I've got. If anyone has deeper questions, I can't answer them for you, but if you send them to me, I can definitely pass it along to one of my team members who does have the answer.
That's so good to know, JR. See, I like JR. We work in sync for real.
JR, can I cut in really quick? Since you brought it up, which I really appreciate. I think both for you and Kimberlyn, it's just so good to see the call out on both sides of the state line to the alignment with anchor institutions. And I'm just curious if if the discussion about that has evolved to the point where you actually are starting to create some performance metrics around what that looks like, or is that something that is part of our community challenge? Like, how can we demonstrate alignment of our activities and our plans and programs with community anchor institutions as a way to measure outcomes against some kind of a goal? Has that been discussed yet?
I can say that is a discussion we're currently having. I don't want to reveal any trade secrets at the moment, but yes, we are definitely thinking about those things.
Yeah. Right. We're having those discussions while I'm in this meeting. Our consultants are in the conference room right now having those discussions.
Great. It's just I love it because we've talked about it, at the National Digital Inclusion Alliance level and across all of the different local and regional groups that we work in, but it just is starting to feel like we're moving toward a point where some goals, some concrete measurable things are starting to materialize. And that's really refreshing, because I think we can all get more energy and motivation when we're moving toward some things that we can measure, and we can say we're getting closer to victory, however you want to define victory. But with respect to anchor institutions, just the sustainability of working with schools and libraries and healthcare organizations that have been here long before this funding, and they're going to continue to be here long after this funding. So I'm really happy to see that, and eager to see how we evolve kind of the performance metric side of things.
Yeah. Well, and Tom, you make a good point. That's why I'm going to go back to this digital equity pilot, because it's very hard to set KPIs on concepts and strategies. Okay, you have to have some tactical implementation to actually drive your KPIs. Now, I'm going back to my sprint days just for a second. I understand the difference between tactical and strategic. And so if we just write plans from a strategic perspective and not test them from a tactical perspective, right, to generate your key performance indicators, you're going to miss some things. You're going to miss some things. And I can point to countless stories and projects I've been involved with. The biggest project I was involved with that we used what I just said was when we built eBay. When I worked at Cisco, we built eBay and Priceline in the same fashion. It was a great concept, strategic plan, but the way and the reason why Priceline and eBay are still around is that we built that on KPIs. So everybody was accountable for something. And so that's why I want to just make sure that, and just suggest that there's some accountability based on key performance indicators that are derived or developed doing your pilot, not doing your planning. Big difference. Big difference. Hope that makes sense to someone.
Okay, dokes. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Yancey. So like I was saying, I'm no expert, but here are the requirements for both initial proposal volume 1 and 2. And I also have a few slides I want to show. I'm sorry, I have to, we have over in Missouri, we're going to be hosting our 2nd annual Connecting All Missourians Broadband Summit this coming Tuesday. And so I have to say these next few slides are going to be included on my presentation from there. I'm sorry to ruin the surprise for anyone who may come out to that, but I've got just a few things I wanted to share with you all. So anyone who's come out to the outreach that we've done over the last few years has seen this slide quite a few times. I'm sure you may be sick of it, but I really do like to start off most of my presentations this way, just so everyone understands the frame of which our office and my work particularly are coming from, right? And so in 2021, as a part of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, they also passed the Digital Equity Act. And the Digital Equity Act takes $2.75 billion to create 3 programs. The 3 programs are there. Those are the State Digital Equity Planning Grant Program, the State Digital Equity Capacity Grant Program, and then finally the Digital Equity Competitive Grant Program. I can say our office received just over $800,000 from the Digital Equity Planning Grant last year. And over the last year, really those funds have enabled us to do all the outreach and data gathering and partnerships, including, as Mr. Yancey said, our Digital Demonstration Projects Grant, which is really intended to help us gain a more thorough understanding of what type of initiatives, what works best throughout the state of Missouri, so that when we get the big chunk of money we expect to receive from the capacity grant program, we want to make sure that we're deploying that funding in a targeted and in the most optimum and the most effective way possible, right? We know the BEAD program has $1.7 billion, a little more than that for the state of Missouri, but current estimates for Missouri's share of the capacity grant program are about $24 million, right? So we're talking a completely different scale. And so it's vital that we make those funds stretch as best we can, as long as we can, right? And I think, Tom, you also said this yourself. Primarily, we want to make sure that the digital opportunity ecosystem that we build is sustainable, right? We know these funds we know these funds will have an expiration date. We know they won't last forever, but if we can make sure that the infrastructure we put in place lasts beyond that, we will have considered our job effective. I can say that the capacity grant or current estimates, or excuse me, completely wrong word, pardon me. Currently, NTIA has said that the capacity grant is expected to open for applications in the spring of next year. They haven't said much more than that, but they have said the spring. And we know that the competitive grant program will open 30 days after that. Our office in Missouri will be handling the administration of both the planning grant, as we are doing now, and the capacity grant. But as the administering entity for those two programs, we cannot do anything related to the competitive grant program. With that being said, we're happy to work with any of our state partners to help them coordinate. We're happy to lend our support to any applications they may intend to submit for that. So please, I stand, my phone line and my email inbox are always open. So if anyone ever needs anything, please feel free to reach out, and I'm happy to support however I can. And so on October 24th, on Monday, October 24th, we officially released our statewide digital opportunity plan for public comment. Just as Kansas did, we expect to have that open for about 30 days, right? That will close November 26th. That is the Sunday after, or that is the Sunday after Thanksgiving. Our plan is divided up into the 7 sections you can see there. We have our cover listed on this slide, and that QR code will take you directly to the plan. And I strongly encourage everyone on this call to not only, give the plan a read and leave a comment, but suggest to your partners and the people you work with, the people that you know, to do the same, right? We want this plan to be as inclusive as possible. We really want to make sure that we are addressing the needs of every Missourian. One thing I can say, and this is really something that guided us in this approach, we launched our digital demonstration projects. We opened applications in March of this last year, and over 50 organizations started an application, right? And we were very excited. We were like, oh, this is great. This is more interest than we have funds available, but it shows, right, that this is a priority for people. But of those over 50 applications, less than 20% ended up being submitted, right? And so it's vital for us that community partners let us know, how can we shape these grants? How can we shape our application process? How can we make these things as inclusive, as inviting as possible, right? We know that, the very existence of this group shows that, in the Kansas City area, we have vested partners, we have people who are interested in these things, but we want to reproduce that across the state, right? We know that those more small rural areas don't have that same support. And so anything we can do to make this more approachable, make this more inclusive, get them involved, we're happy to do it. So please, go give the plan a read, tell us what you think of our goals, of our broad objectives, but also tell us how we can shape this, how we can make our programming, inviting to you, your organization, your community, and the people that you ultimately serve. And then also, like I said, this is released for public comment. And so this QR code will take you directly to the public comment survey. You'll know if you're on the right page if you see that image displayed on your right. And also, if you go straight to the public comment survey, it will take you directly to the plan. And so again, I beg of you all, please, 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 give us your input. We desperately need it. And then just talking about some of the things that are ongoing or the things that are coming up. As I mentioned, we will have our second annual Connecting All Missourians Broadband Summit this coming Tuesday in Jefferson City. Unfortunately, registrations are no longer open for that, but I know for a fact that a number of people on this call are going to come out to support us, come out to participate, and I can't wait to see you all. Thank you all for your ongoing engagement. I can also say that for the last few months, we have been partnering with the 9 organizations based in Missouri that are participating in the ACP Outreach Grant. So we have a monthly gathering of those organizations so that they can talk, discuss best practice, discuss strategies that have worked, things that haven't worked, as well as making sure that we avoid overlap, because we know, again, these funds are oftentimes typically limited, and so we don't want to buy the same horse 2 times, right? We want to make sure that people are deploying their funds in areas where they are effective. And I want to say also, we've seen amazing results, right? Since the beginning of that project, I think Missouri's ACP enrollment rate has risen by at least 4%, maybe 5 or 6 the last time I checked. So we know for a fact that these things are having an impact, and we're glad to see that. And we are happy to continue supporting that however we can. As a part of that, a part of our outreach efforts, really demonstrating the priority, the focus that our office places on the ACP. We really do consider the ACP to be the most effective way to tackle that affordability barrier. It's the most effective tool for tackling that affordability barrier that communities are facing at the moment. So in support of that, we are considering partnering with partnering with Dollar Generals, because we know that I believe 70% of the country lives within 10 minutes of a Dollar General. And so we're going to start advertising the ACP at the registers, or it's our plan to. We still need final approval, but we've got signs. All signs seem to indicate yes. So we'll be promoting at our Dollar Generals and Family Dollars this program. And we think that's a really effective tool, right? We know the communities that the ACP is targeted at, and those are people who shop at these stops, at these stores. And so again, that's something we're very proud of and happy to participate in, happy to engage with. Yeah, and I'm sorry, but with that, I'm happy to take any questions about anything that we're currently engaged in, or anything anything we expect to do over the coming years.
Great, thanks, JR. And we'll go to questions. I have just an initial question myself. As Aaron alluded to earlier, some of us are trying to organize a convening of what we could call the digital equity practitioners and maybe community members here in the Kansas City area, to see if we might have some collective input that was shared of, high priorities on the digital opportunity plan, and on things like performance metrics, which, it sounds like both offices on both sides of the state line are engaging in rigorous discussions with consultants and others. But we were thinking that the on-the-ground force here might get together and do collective comments. So is there a way to get that information to you independent of the one-at-a-time surveys? If we had, and I'm not sure this is going to happen, but some of us are trying hard to make that convening happen in time, to meet the November 26th submission date. Could we send you something independent of the survey? Would that be okay if we pull that off?
Not only would it be okay, I actively encourage it. I'm sorry, I know it sounded like I trailed off at the last minute. I forgot my last point, but it just came back to me. So I apologize for that. At the end of this month, we will be hosting a focus group, both for our BEAD plan and our digital opportunities plan, right? This will allow people to come to Jeff City or join us virtually and give us, direct feedback. And so if anyone on this call would be interested in joining that, I in fact know for a fact I've sent some invitations to a number of you, but if anyone else would be interested in joining, please, I'll put my email in the chat right now, and you can reach out to me, let me know, express your interest, and we'll see if we can fit you all in.
That's great.
But even outside of that, Professor Luppino, you have it. I know that the entire Casey Digital Drive has my contact information. If you have any of that information, please do send it to me.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, we were just thinking that it'd be good to get folks in the room who are seeing things on the ground, sharing that information, and maybe together fashioning some some input that folks could agree on or say these are high priorities. So we're going to try, if we can get it organized. You'd certainly be invited, as would Kimberlyn and everybody else on the call, just to kind of co-work this a little bit is the idea. But great, and the focus groups sound great as well. So perfect. Others here, questions for D'mitri on the Missouri side?
I have one. Sorry, no, please continue.
No, I had put in the chat, hopefully someone can access it, but it's 10 reasons to participate in public comment. And this is universal. So in support of JR, hopefully you could take a look at this document that gives some really good reasons to participate. And in support of his plan. Of course, our comment period is over, but I think this is a good document to help get engaged in responding to their digital equity. Was anyone able to open that? I want to make sure you guys get that, because I think it's a great document.
I'm not seeing it in the chat, Kimberlyn. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think it's shown.
Okay, I'll keep working on it.
Okay. Yeah, and if we can, and you could send it to Leslie or anybody here, we can get it circulated after the meeting too. So Tom, you have your hand up?
Yes, thanks, Tony. I think two things. First of all, just I've seen a few chat comments thanking both JR and Kimberlyn, and I want to reiterate that it's an awesome opportunity to be able to have kind of a small group discussion with you guys as we're in the process of doing this. So I'm really grateful for the time you're dedicating to us. My question to both of you, it has to do with the extent to which, and you probably have noticed in a lot of these meetings, we get good representation from nonprofits and organizations that work a lot with libraries and library systems. And I know the work that Aaron has done with KC Digital Drive has brought some healthcare related people and organizations into the fold. But my question is, to what extent are you seeing, and to what extent do you think there's a call out for more help to get engagement from, number one, school systems and school districts, because we rarely have a lot of representation in these kind of talks and coalition meetings from schools and school systems. And the other is healthcare organizations, broadly speaking. I mean, we discuss it, and we have, occasionally agencies that work on healthcare related issues, but we rarely have representation from substantial kind of anchor institutions in the school district and in the healthcare related fields. And I didn't know if you guys on both sides of the state have recognized that as a challenge, and if there's anything you think we might do to help broaden the engagement and outreach to those kinds of organizations.
I'll take the first shot at that, Kimberlyn, if it's all right with you.
Oh, sure, please.
I think in venues like this, or in certain venues, it's definitely hard to get representation from those groups, but I don't necessarily take that as a reflection of them showing disinterest, right? I know we had over 45 public engagement visits over the last year, and I think maybe 2 of those we had representation from either a school district or a hospital. And again, like I said, I don't necessarily attribute that to disinterest as much as they are already stretched to capacity. Right. And so they don't necessarily have the available personnel or resources to mobilize folks out into these types of meetings. One thing, so I can say for a fact, one of the hospital administrators who came out to our public engagement, he was like, "Oh, thank you so much for that." And he handed me a list of things that they need. And these were things that I agree the hospital needs, but they weren't things we could deliver, right? So he was asking for an MRI machine, right? They need additional technology in that sense, which we would love to support, but it's a little bit out of our mandate. And so I think, and then also on top of that, I recently read a study that said 60% of Missouri's rural hospitals are in fiscal distress, are at risk of closing. And so I think it ultimately comes down to them having to weigh, their priorities at the moment, and that ultimately limits their ability to go out. Now, with that being said, I want to say our office is definitely focused on the ways that we can support them within our remit. And so if we can assist them in expanding out their telehealth capacities, right, because we know that is definitely a component of digital equity, right, it's particularly for our rural communities, which is one of those communities that the Digital Equity Act focuses on. If we can do that, we would be happy to do so. I can say I'm engaged with some discussions with our director right now on how we can shape programming to support them in that sense. And then for that other component, the schools, I think it's the same thing, right? I think they're very, very much stretched to capacity. If they don't have enough teachers, it's a lot harder for them to focus on trying to hire a grant writer who can then go out and apply for these things. But with that being said, I can say that the grant writer for the public school system in the city I live in reached out to me 2 days ago saying, "What do you have for us?" Right? And so I think they are interested, and because of that lack of capacity on their behalf, it falls on us, and even our offices are stretched, right? Our digital equity office is effectively me. But I'm happy to do what I can to reach out when I can. And I've been trying to foster those community connections, even when they're unable to come out.
I appreciate that, JR. And I definitely want to hear from Kimberlyn, but I mean, it's even the libraries. I shouldn't act like the libraries are also stretched for resources. I don't want to speak for Carrie, but it almost is like it's pointing to one avenue through which the funding can definitely help. Is just making sure those institutions can identify and have their voices heard about what resources they're currently lacking, to make it easier to always make sure that digital equity and just kind of even just the 3 basic legs of the digital inclusion stool are being attended to for their patrons and their clients and things like that. So I appreciate your candor in that. Kimberlyn, I want to make sure you can answer as well.
Can I just say one quick thing about libraries? I agree they are stretched thin, of course. We all know that. I think library systems across the country are in many ways stretched thin. But you know, digital equity, digital inclusion services have been a part of library's mission statements since the dawn of computers. So it's a part of our work, it's a part of our budgets, and, you know, we're, you know, trusted locations within the community. So, I mean, this is always going to be a critical pillar of the work that we do. So just would throw that in there. Thanks. Sorry, Kimberlyn, go ahead.
Oh, no. I just had people coming by my desk. No, I am always in agreement with JR. My two words in thinking about this is constant contact with those that I agree with him. I don't think people are disinterested. It's just catching people, and there's so many things going on, and people's plates are full, and there's so many things at the table to deal with, and that's what I've learned in doing this work. We just recently, this week was the Kansas Library Association conference. So we had a table there. You know, it's constant contact, constant being in front of someone, talking to them, supporting them. One of the feedbacks that I got when I did the roadshow was, "You'll never come out to Western Kansas." Well, I made it out to Western Kansas. Well, you'll never come back out here again. So, you know, people want constant contact and want to know that you're genuinely there to help. We went out to Envision in Wichita last week. Didn't know anything about all the digital equity and the skills and the training and the things that they do for the visually impaired or blind. And it was just an amazing, you know, it was an amazing experience. But they're a candidate for some things, you know, but it's constant contact and constant talking. One thing, and I would advise, and I know it's difficult, JR, but having a person dedicated to engagement is it's a key and helps for our work, because I'm the boots on the ground, but I can't manage setting up engagement and being across Western Kansas at the same time. So, you know, if we could get a dedicated person to for engagement and outreach, that helps work in sync with those of us who are physically out there. We went to Urban League. In Urban League, we're doing digital, elderly digital skills training, which was fabulous because they worked on food apps. Okay, that's a thing these days. And telehealth and navigating Google. And there was one other item that they did, but it was a series. So it's constant contact. You have to constantly in contact with people and letting them know things are coming. I know our grant programs take a long time to set up, and it takes a long time to write grants. You know, people, it's time consuming, you know, people, it's time consuming, it's costly, time is money. So it's why we're doing this work, to kind of figure all of that out. And I may not have given any solutions, but I know that the challenges out there are time, and then having a dedicated person for engagement and to be constantly in contact with those that we're out there trying to reach. I mean, the other day I was flipping through LinkedIn, because if y'all know Jade Pyros de Cavallo, she posts everything. And I found the community housing of Wyandotte County, which is a housing housing organization for Hispanics. And when they get their houses, they weren't even thinking about it anymore. But again, it's constant contact and you know, lifting the rock and unveiling, peeling back the onion, and finding other resources, organizations, and people that are out there that one, we're trying to help, and the people that are also trying to help as well.
Let me, I'm gonna, before we go to the next question, I just wanted to second that, Kimberlyn. I think you hit the nail on the head. True, thoughtful, effective community engagement is hard work, and it's the most important work. And I think it's the most important work towards success here. I did want to mention in response to Tom's question about health organizations, just a note about something I think can be perhaps scaled. the Health Forward Foundation here is very interested in digital equity, including digital equity for persons with disabilities. They funded a grant to Casey Digital Drive that the university helped with here for digital training for community health workers, which really had dual purposes. It was to make them more effective in what they're doing, but also they're in households all the time and in a position to sort of see what are the digital circumstances of the people they're serving. And so as I've been listening and making notes about the creative ways people are getting the word out, through, as you said, Child and Family Services, Kimberlyn, libraries we knew, D'mitri added Dollar General, you mentioned Urban League, all these are vehicles. So I think thinking about community health workers is on the list too. And John Fitzpatrick, who's on the call, led that project for Casey Digital Drive, did a superb job. We have some learning from that we can share. So I think, Tom, you asked an excellent question. The university is also trying to mobilize it in a group to on telehealth specifically, and you'll hear more about that soon. So Leslie, you had the next hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention a couple of things. First of all, we have our digital divide simulation coming up at the Central Library next week. And if you're thinking, well, I didn't know about that, it's because y'all are already here. And so we didn't send the invitation to the event to people who are already interested and involved in the issue. We sent it to our other areas we work in: innovation, technology, and health. And I took a quick look at our 25 RSVPs, and about half of them, I think, are coming from the health sector, which makes sense because it's our largest list, because we've been, as you mentioned, Tony, deeply involved in health since for many years. So while they may not make it to the coalition meeting for reasons that I guess only they know, they are interested in the topic and something that appeals to them to understand it more. In addition, I've been super impressed with the amount of participation from the health sector at the KOBD advisory council meetings. And so I think they've been deeply involved and had a lot of great suggestions for the draft plan that we reviewed when we did our in-person meeting in July. And so, I just offer that to say, they're not here, but I wouldn't take that again as not just that they're too busy, but maybe they're engaging in other ways.
Very good. Other questions or comments for JR? See if my screen share will work again.
If sorry, can I do one plug before we move on?
Sure.
So hands down, one of the most invested partners in Missouri in digital equity, one of the most intelligent people I've ever met, read over our plan, and they sent me directly a comment pointing out that our asset inventory were missing a number of things. They said, where's this group? Where's this group? Where did you even get this list? And so in regards to that, I have to plug this in everything I talk about now. So our asset inventory, as listed in the plan, is pulled directly from the broadband resource map on mobroadband.org, I believe, or mobroadband.org, excuse me. So if you want to have your organization known, if you want people to know about the resources you offer, about the services you offer the community, I strongly recommend you jump online and post it there, because if it's not there and someone's not emailing me directly, we don't know about it. I certainly go out and I look and I try to update this as much as I can, but the best way to let our office and ultimately let the broader population of Missouri know about your organization and the services you offer is to put it into that website, because before we submit our final plan to NTIA, I'm going to pull everything off that mobroadband.org. So if you want to be included, please add your information there.
Excellent. And I guess that's a segue into, I was going to offer one little announcement, JR, and it ties right to what you just said. the last 6 or 7 weeks, we had a few students here with funding that was really part of the OBD funding to the university. Look at some lists that we had compiled here in Kansas City and some others to add to the digital asset map. And we came up with about 90 new resources, I think. So the students did a terrific job. So we'll be communicating that to the people in Columbia that upload that stuff. And you'll see a pretty sharp increase pretty quickly here. And I second the, the more that we can gather and know what people are doing, the more will help communities all over the state. So on the Mo Broadband site. So thank you for bringing that up. But that's you'll see some more assets pretty quickly.
I just wanted to make a quick announcement with Essential Families. We are launching our community partner program. We'll have a virtual meeting on November 15th at 1 o'clock. And that is to assist with our over 724 people on our current wait list. We have 9 community partners right now. I'll have Kenneth put that link in terms of registering if you want to become a community partner to help us serve our clients. And we'll actually bring the clients to you for your business as well. So just wanted to plug that.
Thanks, Terry. I guess there's a general community announcement here. I think Leslie can speak to the mechanics of it. So the Connecting All Missourians Stakeholder Summit is, I think, next Tuesday, November 7th, Leslie, and you're offering to help arrange carpooling from Kansas City. Is that right?
That's correct. So if you registered and are planning to go and are interested in writing down together, just email me. I'll put my email in the chat. I will say we want to be there when it starts. So we'll be leaving at 6:30 in the morning.
All right, excellent. Other community announcements? Open mic here.
Yeah, Tony.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll be at the Urban Summit tomorrow. It's at Penn Valley Community College, and they have a marketplace there, and we're sharing Leading into Digital Opportunity, our program to help entrepreneurs get internet computers and entrepreneur support. I'm also hosting a Global Entrepreneurship Week panel, and JR has agreed to join me. So that'll be November 15th at Global Entrepreneurship Week. And I put a link to that in chat.
Excellent.
I'm going to put a link to the Mo Broadband site in here too. I don't know if anybody.
Thank you, Rick.
Other community announcements? Anything anybody like to share about any topics here? Yeah, I'm not seeing any hands. I think that leads us to the next meeting. This will be an in-person meeting and a celebration, I guess. Carrie, do you want to say something about this, or Wendy, since you'll be hosting? You're there. Oops. Or Aaron or anybody else in the steering committee, is this not the usual time, so is this sort of a celebration and a meeting?
It is. Yeah, it's Friday afternoon, so we're going to move to the afternoon. I believe, and I don't know for sure the menu, but in the past when the library's done this, they've ordered some food and hors d'oeuvres and maybe have some beer and wine and drinks. So it's really just a social time. We do the in-person once a month anyway, so we're due for that, but we won't have any structured content or a feature presentation. Just be a chance for fellowship and community building with the practitioner community.
Thanks, Aaron. Any other final comments, questions, discussion?
I guess I just want to add on, Tony, to what Aaron was saying. I mean, it's intentional that we're doing this, not just for those of us who regularly attend and provide input, but it's a great opportunity for those of us on this call now to know anyone else who maybe typically doesn't come to these meetings or who's doing work in some capacity to impact the goals we're trying to achieve in digital equity. I mean, it's a great time to get people to come and make sure we meet them. because as both JR and Kimberlyn were just sharing with us, I think the definition of our success, if you will, is going to be how good a job we can do at identifying where are all the spaces and people and parts of our communities that can benefit from these resources that are being made available. And so the more we can do now to start identifying them and welcoming people and getting people to feel like we're all in this together, the better. And hey, no pressure to come to a party. So it might be a good way for us to expand our outreach and just our overall network by having a little holiday get together.
Yes, I agree.
Thanks, Tom. Sounds great. Okay. Thanks to our presenters today, Dennis from Yoodle, and of course for Kimberlyn and JR for their sharing so much information, which was helpful to all of us. So thank you all. And thanks for the great questions that the group asked. I think that got the discussion going. It was very informative. So, okay, I think Aaron and Leslie, unless there's any other business I've missed, are we? Can we adjourn for this session? I don't hear any.
Well, I'm not in charge, but
yeah,
I don't have anything else.
Yeah. I feel my label was facilitator, so I didn't feel in charge either. I just wanted to ask permission, or I'm not looking for a motion and a second or anything. It's not like a faculty meeting here. So, but I'm just saying.
Move to adjourn. Last call for anything, and if not, have a great weekend.
All right. Thank you all. Go Chiefs. All right.
Yes. Okay, please go Chiefs.
Yeah.